Hello, hello, where are you?
All right, so thank you everyone for coming and sitting with us this evening. Thank you. For many of you that have been with us up until now, we're almost 9 months in, and we're so excited we survived this first year. And I would say with flying colors, so thank you. And we've had several things. We had some parents here that are new, that are just starting with us, that have just recently started with us. Some of you guys have been with us from the get-go, so thank you so much. You've been patient. We've had obviously just ironing out the kinks and whatever, but thank you for being supportive with us all this while. Because honestly, it means a lot. So I have to say that really it's been such a crazy, fun, exciting journey, professionally, personally, and we're just so happy that we could finally take it off the ground. We worked through COVID, opened during COVID, still living through COVID, doesn't matter, we're good. I mean, now there's nothing that really shakes us. So we're
Wait, just knock on wood on that.
I know. There's like some other environment. Okay, so thank you very, very much. I would have to personally thank our team of rock stars here, without who this is definitely not possible. I mean, literally the people that are up here and the people that are downstairs, they're the ones that are with your kids day in, day out, and they do their very best to provide the utmost best care that they could. I mean, obviously, you know all these faces up here. I will say that when I kind of started down this path, both Rahul and we did have a dream to open up multiple centers. And I am proud to say that we're actually starting our second location, at least breaking ground, in the fall. And that's going to be located in Comac. So that's something that we are starting to focus our energies on. And with that, Sabrina, who obviously you guys have dealt with intimately up until now, she's actually going to be shifting her energies elsewhere. But with that, we have brought Miss Elizabeth up in her place. She's been training with Sabrina and all of us for the last few months. She's actually our former pre-K teacher. She had the responsibility of not only, yes, being the teacher to Jordan and Logan, but also our children. So no small task. But I'm just going to allow them to kind of say their 2 cents. And then
my child is perfect, so what a blessing for you. So
Compare notes.
I'm sure. So the pre-K program here is really impressive. I think that for those of you who have had your kids here previously, the preschool program, it is also a wonderful program. The difference being that in pre-K it's going to become a little bit more academic. It's become a little bit more structured. I will tell you, I was very concerned for my daughter when she came in here. She had really regressed from COVID. And really, she came in and we learned everything very quickly, or was taught very well. And she's leaving reading, writing, super confident. I feel so good about her going to kindergarten. I mean, I still have my mommy concerns, but I don't have any concerns with her academically or socially. And that is hugely due to the program here, 100%. And honestly, our amazing teachers. I will say we have amazing teachers. The program itself is great, but our teachers are great as well. So I think this year is going to be, it's going to be amazing for teachers. The teachers are
Trisha,
Hi.
who is our biggest cheerleader, and many of you have met her, know her, have heard about the paperwork. So.
Yeah, it is an amazing, it has been an amazing journey as well with them. I really kind of hated, for lack of better words, when I found this location. That's how, if they have nothing but me, not only just best, but they have but they have this insight to know what's really just appropriate and to groom the children to get to where they are through Primrose. Primrose itself, the curriculum and their standards is amazing. They picked an amazing school to be kind of a part of. And you know, your children are so going to benefit from all of this.
And of course, Miss Elizabeth.
Hello. A bunch of you have seen me plenty of times. As Shweta said, I am the former pre-K teacher. I did have Jordan Logan, they're wonderful children as well. And I'm super excited to be in a different capacity and kind of learning everybody's kids outside of the ones that were just my own. But the pre-K program here, there are no words for it. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed teaching it. I loved teaching it. And just the way that, like Sabrina said, her daughter, the way that they learned was insane. And the curriculum and all of it, just their social, their emotional, their learning, their academics, it really was just fantastic to see. And I think you guys are going to be really impressed with what they can do by the end of June or July next year. And they start graduating and it's going to be a big thing. So I'm very excited to work with you guys, work with kids. Just overall, very excited.
I also have to credit Miss Elizabeth because that awesome table over there, those were her creations. I mean, of course, with all of the parent involvement, but those were her creations.
There was no parents involved.
And there are certain two parents in this room that had said, could you do me a favor? Yeah, thanks, Miss.
It's got
The
her
pre-K program is a lot of rigorous information, like Sabrina said. And for those of you that started with the preschool program, you'll see it was even more in depth. But it's really cool. The teachers are super awesome. They're excited to be teaching. They're excited to include you guys as much as we're not able to all be in this building. But they love to include you guys and ask for help and kind of work together with you. And it's a little bit of a different vibe than The preschool. You'll see a lot more parent projects going on. There's a lot
Like so creative.
You can't outsource to Patricia, she's already taking it.
Also, I have to say that this lovely lady has two. So she had double the amount of
So
work.
my idea of, creativity is like stringing through pasta. That's my idea of creativity.
All right, I'll help.
No, yours is so cute. Do you remember what Jordan and
Yeah.
Logan?
Oh,
Wait,
the
what was
dog?
that cute thing that they said? The superheroes, and then who's the villain, and then he said his brother. It was so it's very, very cute. And then we have one more addition to the team, which is Chef Chanel. She's currently downstairs. Spend some time with her. She's incredible. Her two daughters are at the camp here with us. They're 6 to 7 years old, but she's truly remarkable. And she's been a part of our family for the last 3 months and producing some amazing food and getting her kids to eat some very healthy, awesome food. She has a very good knack of like sneaking in veggies and stuff into her food. So we don't have to worry as parents, which is great. And then finally, there's been one last restructuring of the team. So Miss Capri, who's obviously been an integral part of our team, she's actually been promoted, rightfully so, very deservingly so. So she's actually now part of the leadership team. She's essentially become a team leader and educational director for the older ages. She's such an awesome teacher. So she's now been promoted to kind of lead the pack in some ways. So that's just something to kind of be prepared for. Okay, so obviously I'm going to run through this really quick, but the crux of the curriculum really focuses on the whole child. So not only are we kind of focused on building out the creative, the academic, the physical developments of the kids, but also the social emotional, because at this age, building out the character and those life skills is probably the most important, especially before they go to kindergarten. We want to make them kindergarten ready. We want them to be able to kind of work well with others. Those are the kind of skills that they need to carry forward for the rest of their life. Learning how to follow instructions, learning how to follow the rules, learning how to take turns, learning how to collaborate. I mean, all the things that you want your kids to know and have for the rest of life. So what we believe is who children become is as important as what they know. This is taught through the balanced learning approach. So that's a proprietary curriculum that we at Primrose carry. And so basically, again, with this curriculum, it's really kind of building out our kids to be as curious, as confident, as compassionate as they possibly can be. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so basically the social emotional piece is probably the thing that's the most unique to us. You would have heard or seen many of these people, characters around the building. They're taught through our music, they're taught through our activities, they're taught through our literature. Basically, each of these puppet friends represent different character traits we want our kids to have. Friendship, courage, confidence, respect, whatever. So these are just great things, very meta topics that we want our kids to kind of wrap their head around. But it's probably the thing that makes us the most unique. So with that, I mean, obviously any behaviors, any guidance is taught through these friends of ours. Everything is done through positive reinforcement. If there's any behavioral interventions, we use these guys for that as well. But basically, for example, if a child tries a food for the first time, that was a very courageous act. We'll bring out that particular character friend and be like, hey, that was very courageous, here's a courage figure or whatever. Student folder. So obviously this is just something for you all to know. There's going to be some of this literature that is updated annually. This is only 1 year that you guys have with us. So if there's any changes, allergy updates, changes of residence, any authorized pickup changes, just let us know anytime, please. Student file documentation. So before school begins, obviously all of this information for the new parents, all this information is required, but for the parents that have been with us already, medical, allergy and diet, non-medication consent. So if there's any changes with sunscreen or whatever, then let us know. And photography, social media. So if, again, we'll send out newsletters internally, and then we also have social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, our website. So if you feel uncomfortable with sharing your kids on any of those, again, just let us know. Parent handbook, that's something that's given to you at the time of registration. But if there are any addendums, we will share those. So most likely you're gonna get an email with some information next week. Persons authorized to pick up the kids, many of you already kind of know this, but please include the individuals that you would like. They need to be obviously legal adults. And if they're people other than you and they're on the authorized list, they still need to come in with a government ID. Reason being, we will have other teachers that are up front that are kind of manning the front door. They may not know those particular people. So we just want to make sure that the kids are handed off to the right people. So they have to come in with a valid ID. Billing occurs monthly. It's sent the preceding month, Monday for the following month. So you will get an invoice on Monday of next week. Obviously the tuition includes hours, meals, bedding, blah, blah, blah. Any late fees, there's a $25 late fee for any late payments. And then methods of payment, I'm just gonna say this because I know that there are a bunch of parents that don't necessarily know this, but ACH and checks don't incur any processing fees. If you do use credit card or debit cards, there is a 2% processing fee. Just something to note, something that you can easily avoid by going into your account and kind of changing your method of payment.
What about if, like, through, like, I get the benefits deduction for my payroll, but they issue it in the form of a debit card?
Okay.
Does that still take the 2%?
It does.
It does. So we don't have like Stripe or anything here to process the credit card. We have to outsource it to ProCare, so that's where the fee comes down.
Attendance. So obviously our day starts at 7 a.m. We go till 6:30. Our instructional day is really from that 9 to 4:30 slot. From 8 to 8:45, we serve breakfast. 9 o'clock is when I say at the very latest for kids to come in, because that's when we have circles. So I will say that after 10 o'clock, it becomes a little disruptive. If for whatever reason you do need to drop your kids off after 10 o'clock, then just let us know. But on the regular, it's best practice to just have them come prior to that time. The daily schedule, so again, 8 to 5 is when they're going to be situated in their rooms. Prior to 8 o'clock and after 5 o'clock, they will be combined with other kids of the same age. So that's just something to note, because there are fewer kids that are here prior to 8 o'clock between that 7 and 8 p.m. slot, 8 a.m. slot, and then that 5 to 6:30 slot. There are fewer kids, so we do have to combine. But from 8 to 5, they're in their designated classroom, and 9 to 4:30 is the instructional day. School holidays and closings. We're going to realize this because we're realizing this right now. Our kids in public school have days, so we don't have that as much. So as professionals, something that we're wrecking our brains on right now. But of course, they can just go back to the school year. So for school holidays, we have fewer holidays. There's a calendar in the back. There's also a sample menu for you guys, and then the happy cards with those puppets are also there because they have a conversation piece with your kids. School delays, everything is communicated through Twitter. That's going to be your handiest way of communicating with us. Of course, you can always just pick up the phone and call us as well. You can tell us up front whatever your wants and needs are, but ProCare is really the place to go. If there's any delays, any updates, any closings, weather, whatever, that's going to happen through ProCare. So just have that accessible. Uniforms are required in pre-K. They were required in preschool. They're also required in pre-K, Monday through Thursday. Fridays are dress down day. We're going to send out a sheet next week before school starts. Of course, I've also been bombarding everybody with that link. It takes a couple of weeks for the post to come. No. Special theme days, uniforms are not required. Book bags should be the Primrose bag. That's just something that is a requirement. The first bag is gifted by us. And if you do lose it or whatever, then it's on you to purchase it. And then finally, please send your kids wearing footwear is important. So send them in sneakers, send them in appropriate footwear, because again, they're going to be running, jumping on the playgrounds, climbing, whatever. So it's just something to note because we don't want to have them for any injuries. Yes.
While it's still warm, can they wear shorts? They switch back to uniform.
Yeah, the uniform's just usually just
The
shirt.
top,
Yeah.
Just making
Yeah. Okay, no, not here. Okay, here. So what do you need to bring? So just have 2 shirts, 2 pants, a sealed water cup, and please label everything. Cannot emphasize this enough. There have been situations where things kind of get lost or misplaced or whatever. We need everything clearly marked. Now, unfortunately, we're gonna we don't do it, we're just gonna have to mark it ourselves. So please don't put us in that bind because we don't want to do that. And it doesn't have to be Primrose clothing, that's like your extra buffer. It could just be anything, but it's just if something happens, at least we have something. COVID, so obviously, live through COVID. We follow all the rules and regulations set forth by the OCFS, which is the Office of Child Family Services, and the Health Department. So we obviously all of our policies and procedures were set through it. And so they've worked for us. We're going to maintain whatever we've been doing till date. If there are things that do occur in the environment that we need to make changes on, we've been forced to be as adaptable and as agile as possible. We're going to communicate that to you as well. But for the time being, everything is really going to kind of remain the same. If you're exposed to COVID or test positive for COVID, obviously, please notify us ASAP. We will have to inform OCFS because they are our governing body, but also we will inform the rest of the people with a plan of action. Okay. Health and medical. So if your child is showing signs of illness, yes.
Sorry, just going back to that. Since we weren't here this summer.
For parents. We're going to talk about
But
that.
not for the kids.
I mean, sorry, for adults.
For adults, but not
Yes.
for the kids.
Yes, not for
Okay.
kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If health and medical, if your child is showing signs of illness that require pickup, or if not, even if they're just showing signs of something, we'll still call you guys. If an incident is to arise, we'll call you guys. It may not require pickup. If the child has 100-degree temperature upon arrival, they're not going to be allowed into school. They have to be fever-free without medication for 24 hours. And if your child is exposed to any communicable disease, then of course you're going to let us know. It doesn't have to just be COVID, it could be anything, but then of course we will have to take appropriate action. And depending on the illness, obviously they have to be free of any contagion, but depending on what it is, they may also need a physician. Best practices with COVID. So this is what we've been doing up until now. So children's temperatures twice a day, once upon entry, once upon when they wake up from nap. Masks are mandated for the adults. We do have some parents that have started having their kids come in and work. And we are going to try to maintain that to the best of our abilities throughout the day. But it is a long day. Full day is 11 and a half hours. So it is a long day. There are going to be instances where the kids are not wearing masks. Eating, sometimes during playing, obviously during napping. So those are the times that they will have to remove their masks. But again, if it is a request by the parent, then we will try our very best to maintain that. Frequent hand washing is embedded into the curriculum. Frequent disinfecting of high touch surfaces, including the playgrounds. So we use those chemicals that are in the corner. It's by this company, Ecolab. They're actually food safe, which means that they're safe to be around kids. But we do have our teachers train in how to utilize these chemicals appropriately in the class. So when the kids go down for nap, that is the time when the teachers will disinfect their rooms. And then we do have a professional cleaning crew that comes in every night to clean our rooms. If there is something that's found in a particular classroom, then we use that huge thing, the halo sulfogger, which emits a hydrogen peroxide into the air, and it kind of kills any pathogens. That's just something that we've had to use, obviously without the kids. We'll vacate the kids and we'll put them in another room, or we'll do it at the end of the day. Daily laundering, so we provide all the sheets and the blankets, sleep sacks, bibs, whatever, and everything is laundered by us. The food is prepared by our chef, Chef Chanel. And again, we do that out of control. So it just mitigates risk. One other area to mitigate risk on. Professional touchless check-in. So obviously we're going to continue to have our drop-offs and our pickups. And again, with everything that's going on in the environment, it just makes sense. But you're going to download this app. For many of you who haven't started yet, you're going to download the ProCare app, and you're going to be given a QR code, and you just scan yourself in and out through that app. And otherwise, in terms of protection of the building, only teachers are allowed. They are all given a fob, a card, and that's the only way for them to have an exit, and that's on a time anyways. Okay, communication. So obviously ProCare, keep talking about that. This is going to be your go-to means of communicating with us. Of course, you can always pick up the phone and call us, but that is really going to be, for the most part, the way that you're going to communicate with the teachers, with us. Newsletters, we send out newsletters weekly. I do strongly advise you guys to read them. It sums up what we've done for the week. It also kind of prepares you for what's to come the following week. So if there's any themed event, something special that's going on, it's just something for you to know. Parent-teacher conferences occur twice a year. So this is going to be, we're going to be making observations and assessments and whatever. So we'll share that with you. And it doesn't just need to be from an academic standpoint. It could be anything. It could be social, emotional, building independence, how they socialize with friends, whatever it may be. Things that you guys want to work on, things that we want to work on. And then we kind of basically create these collaborative goals together. Safety. So with that, we do monthly drills, fire drills, lockdown drills, shelter in place. For the drills, we go across. There's a little field over there. We take the kids over there. But if a real situation was to occur, we take them next door. So right in front here is Shalik Morris. We would take the kids there. Our secondary evacuation site is behind us. It's the Arizona Tea Company Global Headquarters. So we take them there. Obviously, there's a police station at the foot of the park, and then there are 2 hospitals within a mile away. And that's it. Meet the teachers. So August 30th and 31st, the school is not in session. 30th, we're going to focus on professional development. The 31st, we're just prepping our classrooms. The 31st afternoon, which is Tuesday afternoon, we're inviting you to come in with your kids. You're going to get to meet the teacher. You're going to get to meet other parents in the room. And then you'll also get to, of course, kind of learn about the curriculum and what to do. And we'll send that out.
Pre-K classes will there be?
2. So each of the rooms can accommodate 16 kids for 2 teachers or 20 kids with 3 teachers. So there's a max capacity of 20. Right now, we're having 16 for the teachers, but there is that possibility with 3 teachers.
With this Elizabeth promoted, she's going to be teaching our kids.
Yeah, don't worry. We've been doing this whole training thing. This whole summer has been focused on that because this was all stuff that we were kind of already prepared for when we were bumping your kids up. So for you guys, you know this, but we were bumping the kids up in July. So we were kind of already prepared with this game plan ahead of time, but we just kind of wanted to get everything, all our ducks in a row. We're trying to keep it as even as possible. It was funny because our preschool classrooms were very lopsided. It was very lopsided. So we had a lot of, which is not the case anymore. Because now the kids have graduated, now it's very even.
Great.
Very even. But yeah, for some reason, when now it's even. Now the pre-Ks have, but when we first started, for whatever reason, the preschool classrooms were inundated with boys. Very few girls.
Whatever reason, please, all the parents were like, our kids are too rambunctious, they're all boys.
Take the boys. Yeah, it was so crazy. The ratio, like at that time when we first started, was like 1 to 5. It was crazy. It's definitely working. And we are trying to make it as even as possible.
When you split the classes and split the classes, you look at those returning students, how they did academically and socially and how they interacted to determine like how you build the classroom.
Yep.
It's a huge part of it. Great together, and then we have other. And I will say, I mean, we always take. But they can't be together. It's we're never going to separate someone because we want to or to be mean. It's because it's in their best interest. Usually it's from the social emotional standpoint. We have all different ranges of academics, all of our classrooms, but it's more how everyone is going. You can't have every rambunctious child in one classroom. Perfect angel in another. I mean, they're all perfect angels, but we like to keep them, you know. And Sophia just wants to be with her boyfriend.
And with that, I mean, we'll also take into account, even when we're designated the teachers, because different teachers have different personalities. So there will be, and not for the most, I mean, for the most part, it's fine, but there will be special situations where we do feel like one teacher may be better suited to handle a particular child over another. So we will take that into account.
You give any hints to who the two teachers will be?
You're gonna find out next week. I think for you guys, it's not that specific.
Yeah, you
Naps?
We do. We do.
How many do they, how many actually now?
I don't know how many
Yeah.
actually have in your class. Did Dana?
Surprisingly, both of your boys did nap every day.
Oh, Logan, I didn't nap, mommy.
Yeah.
Jordan,
napped-
I nap.
Yeah,
you know.
both of them surprisingly napped every day. But it wasn't a requirement for them to nap. They had that quiet time. It was time to kind of just lay down, relax. If they didn't want to nap, they were able to get a book, or they could have a quiet coloring activity. But when I had the full 16 in the class, I would say about 9 or 10 actually fully napped every day. Whether it was 45 minutes or closer to that hour and 20 or so.
Request, that was like a nightmare.
We could.
I was gonna say we have, and I'm like, oh wait, it was you.
It was me.
But we have our parents, and that's fine. What we tell the kids is the first 20 minutes you have to wait. We have kids who get here at 7 o'clock. They are exhausted. And they need the quiet time to fall asleep. If Sophia or any were to fall asleep, probably let them rest, maybe rub their back, see if they're gonna wake up or late sleep. But if, if it's something where I think she wasn't going to bed till like 10 o'clock.
Oh, like 11:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we have another,
Okay.
we do have a boy here who the parents have to see. Give him a book after the 20 minutes. We can't treat him differently. We want
Right,
everyone to
sure.
think everyone is going to sleep. Book. Had a workbook that she would work on. Whereas my kids, especially if I was opening in the morning, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it does range. As long as she's letting the others sleep, we'll keep her occupied. Even if though she does fall asleep too, and you want to limit the amount of time that she
Yeah.
gets sleep. I was gonna say, I think the pre was weak.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that because, I don't like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then we would be late every morning.
Wow, that sounds like so much fun.
No, she's like pretty consistent now, no naps, 8 o'clock, like, we're on a good schedule, so,
Well,
Yeah.
keep going, for as long as you can.
yeah.
Oh, your kids don't sleep?
Well, they don't nap anymore during the weekend, because they just can't. FOMO, they're serious
Yeah.
FOMO.
All kids have insane amounts of
Yeah.
FOMO.
They must have from the dad. And they wind up, at night, like 9 o'clock, and they're still not tired. I don't understand. 9:30. Oh, I know.
Why aren't you sleeping?
We want to see you. Did you have dinner yet? Like, you didn't have dinner, I need to sit with you.
When the weather gets cold, I know the class sizes were smaller last year. Are you still planning to do like the physical activity and stuff in the hallways or in the late room?
Yep.
It's too utilizing this space.
This space?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just, obviously like the soccer program in the morning. Gym, but this does become a structured program. I will say I'm always impressed with like.
So
Yeah.
much.
The relay
Oh my
races.
God.
That was my favorite thing.
It was my
The
favorite
color
too.
relay races, it was
was
so
awesome.
much fun. But I think they do need a little bit more space now.
And this is a
We'll
huge
use up here.
space. So this is the space where we've been hosting soccer and dance and all of those things. So they're used to coming up here.
Are there like certain, this might be more of a parent-teacher conference question, but certain requirements in the curriculum that you guys are looking for preparation to kindergarten? We finish next year, they should be able to read this, and this.
Definitely a huge question.
So there is its own curriculum in itself with balanced learning curriculum of the reading, the writing. They're starting to recognize the sight words because big time from preschool to pre-K, they're starting to learn how to form their letters, which you'll start to see. and sounding things out with the phonetics. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to get there, but they will get there, I promise. But majority of the time, just making sure that more so socially, emotionally, on top of the academic, that is where they're kindergarten ready. So they're kind of starting to kind of clean themselves in the bathroom, and a lot of just those social skills there and how to interact with other friends, sharing the things that are big time. Because as much as they are going into kindergarten ready, they are still learning all that letter formation and those phonetics. They're really touching on it. So really here, it's more of an exposure to it. And then the majority of the kids are starting to pick it up, but you may not notice it you may notice it more towards the end than in the beginning. In this first month from September to November, you might not see as big of a change, but then when you look back from September to January or February, you'll notice that bigger change, that they're looking to kind of point things out and the letters and all of that.
And I would say specific to the pre-K, and probably this mostly applies here because we can really then focus on curriculum at this age group. Even when we do the parent-teacher conferences, there are going to be specific learning milestones that we're going to be talking about. So that's why we do this twice a year. We'll start it in the beginning. We'll see kind of where they're at. And then obviously we'll kind of build from it. So even when Elizabeth was in the classroom, there were kids that were all over. I mean, they were all over the place. We had some kids that were so advanced when it came to reading, and then there were other kids that were just starting, whatever. And it's basically just kind of feeding them where they need to be. And then at the end, knowing that there is progress there too. So you will get more of those like tangible milestones that they're hitting on the work.
So you can kind of see where your kid is specifically. But we do have kids that are all different. Elizabeth started was literally like the letter.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I'm sorry.
So you'll kind of get to watch that too. And I will tell you, like she's saying at the beginning, I was kind of like, okay, Elizabeth can do her letters and she can trace. And then all of a sudden she's like, hey, mommy, watch this. And she clicks the iPad and it was her reading a sight word book. And it was all done through this, it's called Browse Kids. But it also aligns with the local New York State reading curriculum. So it'll be things that they'll all be familiar with. Very much taught in a way that's fun. They want to do it. That was something I enjoyed with Elizabeth specifically. But she, I mean, sorry. But, and it's like Shweta said, it's a lot of different. They may not be at the same level, which is okay. But they're each going.
One likes to do like reading and activity, and the other one like, nope, I just want to watch TV.
Right. They're gonna get there, and they may be at that different level, but it's
See the one that's
really,
at the
each of them is gonna be, their learning is
Jordan
gonna
will do. Logan will be like, no, mommy.
be, which was very different, because Logan wanted to always do it.
I don't understand.
I'm ready.
You'll put green beans here, but they won't put green beans at home.
Oh my God.
Because it makes them sound like hope.
You
There's
know,
so much
hope.
my kids
If
do.
their friends are eating their hope.
Okay.
Anything.
I think you cover, I'm just making sure that there's no school supplies that we need to provide. And then we stick with the same backpacks that they've been using.
I would, I
No,
would say
please.
send extra wipes for pre-K. Learning how to wipe ourselves is a huge thing. And also, this is a random thing. If your kids don't know how to tie their shoes, if they don't know how to unbutton buttons, don't send them in pants like that. Don't send them in shoes like that. We have 13 other kids in the classroom. So if it's easy for them to slip on and off their shoes if they're running around, they can put them right back on. Same thing. He got his button undone. He got a little bit on his pants, and I know better. Send them in. Don't tie the drawstrings super tight. Get the elastic waistband. Just things that will help them, get to the potty in time and build those independent.
Good question. Was, and then. So we put her in a diaper, she does her thing, and then she goes back in underwear, she's fine, but, that's not for anyone. So don't do what but, so she like I'm not
I
really
mean,
sure
I
how
would,
to
I
do
would
this.
still send her. That's how she feels most
Like we wear,
Stevie,
she wears
I will tell
underwear
you,
until I
Stevie
know
did
that
the
she
same
has,
thing. Stevie
yeah.
fought me so hard.
Oh,
And he, sorry, this is so sorry. But he would hold it all day until we got home. And eventually it just wasn't a thing. So when she comes back to school, we'll make a huge deal of it. And so we'll have her use it in the bathroom so she starts associating it with the bathroom. Then we'll have her sit on the potty if she'll do that. And if not, we'll tell her, you know, if you're a big girl, this is what you get. It's the same thing like when they potty train. You can hear in this school when a kid pees in the potty. It's like a huge celebration. So we'll do the same thing.
She was good for like a month, and then all of a sudden she went back to.
Every kid is different with
Yeah.
with everything.
But there's regression all over the place. Sleep regression is a huge thing too, right? So that's the.
Pooping
worst.
is definitely a funny one. Pooping is.
Well, we told her she can't go to pre-K,
That triggers some
so
PTSD
we'll
right
see.
there.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe.
Graham wake up like.
No, I put her on.
You can even tell her that that's not, there are none of that.
Right.
So it does first thing. Might make it, yeah,
Right, yeah.
it'll be a little more difficult.
Right.
and Teacher will make it.
Okay,
All right.
perfect, thank you.
There are refreshments and some food outside, if we see some chairs out there, you want some yummy food. Patricia has paperwork if anyone.
We are Matt. You've heard of Matt. We've heard of her. You did? Okay. Because they come home and first they don't want to come to school, and then they don't want to leave.